So we're back in Final Fantasy XIV, and today we're going to be tackling another Primal. Showing you the gear that I'm going into this with. I've once again downgraded my gear, I suppose you could say. I'm wearing all Darklgiht gear, aside from my Peltast earring, or Peltast ring, and Ifrit's weapon. You will want at least Ifrit's weapon going into this fight, and you will want at least a few pieces of Darklgiht gear. You don't need an entire set like I have, but a little bit, every little bit helps. So with that said, let's go ahead and queue up for Garuda. You can see I'm doing this with a couple friends, of which is Ogre and a friend from our free company. So it's gonna be a grand old time. This was technically recorded before the 2.1 update, so things in the UI and the like have probably changed, especially in the equipment screen, which you saw just a moment ago. But the fight should essentially be identical, so don't worry about that. Now, the Garuda will open up after you've beaten the hard mode Ifrit, but you will want to gear up some before you fight Garuda. A number of people will just skip Garuda, or will skip getting Ifrit's weapon, but I highly suggest against it. And once the entire group gets together, you will once again be treated with a cutscene, and rule 1 of Garuda, don't skip it. You watch that cutscene, and if anybody has a problem with it, they can jump off a cliff. You see Garuda at the far end of the arena, and you see a number of large rock pillars in the middle of the screen. I will loop around to the left side, hugging the far outside edge of the arena, and wait for the tank to intervene. Now, the reason for that is, as you saw there, Garuda will often hit a random person with an attack called Friction. This actually does area damage around them, and you do not want Friction to hit any of the pillars that are in the middle of the arena, which is why I was standing as far off to the side as possible. Now, for the beginning of the fight, the tank is going to stand near that rock with his back to the rock, and you will just beat on Garuda. Garuda has a couple attacks that will be aimed directly at the tank, a couple conals aimed directly at the tank. When Garuda disappears, she will reappear next to the rock. You have to run over and hide behind one of the 4 rocks in the middle of the arena, and then you can get right back to work on Garuda. You want to break line of sight with her when you're hiding. Now, the next thing she'll do is spew out a bunch of little feathers. Once again, Monk isn't exactly designed for taking out these feathers. Someone with ranged attacks or AoE or the like is much better suited for them. But they do need to be taken out right quick. Those feathers go out and slowly do damage to those stone pillars, and you have to prevent that. So I'll run over and I'll generally focus on the ones near the 2 closer stone pillars and let the other DPS handle the 2 farther away. And then you just get right back to work on Garuda. You'll notice I'm emphasizing a lot of don't let anything hit those stone pillars. She'll disappear, reappear in the center. Once again, break line of sight between her with the stone pillars. They'll take a blow and probably crumble a little. Now she's standing near one of those pillars, and I want to do as little as possible to convince her to stay near it. Garuda has a couple AoEs around her as well, just circular AoEs, feathers out again, same thing as before. And, which is why you want to keep Garuda as far away from those stone pillars as possible. You don't want her attacks to hit those pillars either. So we'll work on the ones closer, get right back to work on Garuda. And that's mostly it for her first phase. She will disappear and reappear again somewhere else. You just have to keep remembering to break the line of sight with her, so you don't get hit by the sweeping AoE. Every time she's done it so far, she would follow up with hitting somebody with friction. Which is why I try to get as far away from the rocks as possible as soon as she does her AoE. In fact, all you have to do is break line of sight. You can actually stand far away from that rock as long as you have line of sight broken. Now, she doesn't have much life left, which is why she's appeared in the center and summoned a number of feathers around the edge. These feathers are, just like all the other ones have, they're going to wander near the center of the screen and do damage on the pillars. The strategy here can vary. Some people want you to completely ignore Garuda and take out the feathers as soon as possible. Others want you to just DPS down Garuda as fast as possible. I think my mood at the time said to just DPS down Garuda. Because once you get Garuda down to 50%, all the feathers disappear, and Garuda jumps up in the air so she can do one final AoE. Much like Ifrit, this is a wiping AoE. The damage is nullified, or the damage is decreased by how many pillars you had left. If you have enough left, that attack won't kill you. If the pillars are all gone, you will wipe. Now the fight begins. For the most part, the tank will hold her steady. You'll see these big circles of wind, these giant tornadoes coming out. So you actually don't have much room to maneuver. At least right now, that's not a big deal, though, but it does make getting behind her a little bit easier if the tank's not holding her right. Now Garuda will disappear, and you'll see the sisters appear. You're looking for of the two sisters, you're looking for the one that's tethered with a green tether. This green one is slowly healing Garuda and is easier to kill of the two, so take this one out first. The backup tank will grab the one with the red tether, who does a lot more damage and is making Garuda do a lot more damage. Also a lot harder to kill. You don't even need a tank for the green one, just have the DPS wail on her, and then you go to the red one. This is important. I cannot stress this. Once the red one is killed, you can go focus back on Garuda. The green one and the red one will continue to do their own attacks. They will continue to just generally give you a bad day, and they will do their own attacks, including they'll teleport to the middle of the room and do an area-wide AoE. Now next you'll see a number more feathers appear. You're looking for the one called a satin plume. You want to kill that one as soon as physically possible, and then get back to work on Garuda. Some people will want you to kill the rest of the feathers anyway. Personally, I don't think it's worth it. The damage the rest of the feathers do is negligible at best, and once Garuda goes into her next phase, they all just die. The satin plume, on the other hand, if not killed in time, will sleep the entire party. At least I think that's what it does. I've never actually seen what happens if you don't kill it, because I'm not dumb. After you're done dealing with those, you'll want to move Garuda towards the middle of the arena. She'll create an eye in the storm, which is to say, the arena will essentially shrink. If you go outside, you'll take a lot of damage, get knocked back in. And now the pattern kind of flips. You see the sisters reappear. You're looking for the one with the green tether. Kill that one first. Kill that one first. The mages and everything are going to want to stand the crap away from everything else. You'd think I wouldn't have to say that, but you'd be surprised. Because the other ones will continue doing AoEs, continue doing damage, and continue getting wrecked. Now, you are specifically looking for the green tether. Don't look for position. Don't go, oh, the green one appeared over here last time, so the green one will appear over here again. It's random. Sometimes the green one will appear on one end of the arena, sometimes it'll appear on the other. Don't look at the names of the sisters either. Sometimes one sister will be green, sometimes one sister will be red. The only thing to look at is the green tether. Once the sisters are down, the arena will open up again, you'll get a second to DPS down Garuda, and then you can beat on the feathers once again. She'll resummon the feathers, you're looking to kill the satin plume, and this is the fight from here on out, really. Kill the satin plume. Personally, I say ignore the rest, especially as Monk. The less time I'm spending dancing between targets, dancing between moving targets, the better. I'm going to be able to do very little real damage to the other ones. So I'm just going to focus on Garuda. Once they're dead, the same thing will happen once again. At least I think it'll happen again. Maybe you get a moment to beat on her. No, she's just going to do the sisters again. Yeah, I suppose that makes the most sense. The pattern actually changes up a little bit here. And then I couldn't move. And then I was dead. And then I was looking through the chat to figure out what the crap killed me. So as it turns out, what hit me is an ability of Garuda's called Slipstream. It's a conal AoE that does a ridiculous amount of damage. You can see right here, Garuda happened to wander in. The tank grabbed her, and Garuda happened to wander in just close enough and stop just far enough away from the tank. And I happened to be just close enough to get clipped by the edge of that. And that did not give me a very good day. Really, that's not really my fault, I feel. I think it's more a case of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So meanwhile, while I'm looking through the chat, everybody else is going to be beating on the other sisters. You'll see we have a level 3 limit break built up. Somebody specifically a mage, did the level 3 limit break to kill the sisters, so we could then focus on Garuda faster. Now, I believe the limit break was done a lot, or well, at least I'm getting res, so I can go back into the fight. Now, since Garuda does have a number of AoEs, I'm not running right back in. As soon as I'm up and about, I will second wind myself, maybe wait a minute to have a little bit of health back, because last thing I want to do is run back in and just get my sorry butt killed. I think that AoE, the limit break, could have waited a little bit, though. You'll want the mage to do the limit break. Specifically, you'll want to do the limit break to kill the sisters. And that'll be near the end of the fight that you have to worry about that. Again, I think it was done a little bit early, because we've still got a lot of fight left in us here. I suppose this will give us a chance to build up more limit break, but it's nice to get that final surge of damage in on her. Whereas, I think it probably would have been better suited waiting until the sisters spawn here. Which they should be spawning here soon. The feathers are gone. We're in the eye of the storm once again. As I mentioned, the fight goes in a very cyclical manner once you get to this point. If you've got a pattern down and you can consistently live, it's not a huge deal. So you can see the red tethered one, the green tethered one over here. Garuda doesn't have much life left, but the green one is healing her. And then the red one is making it so she will just wreck your face. So even though Garuda doesn't have much health left, you still will want to kill the sisters first. And once the green one should go down, you can just see all the DPS taking her down. Take out the red one, which is being tanked right next to the big Garuda. I'm not exactly sure why. Overall, this isn't the hardest fight in the world, as long as you're paying attention and, like, do your thing. It is a lot easier to get killed in this fight than it is against Ifrit. As I said, with Ifrit, you kind of have to try. Really, I think the hardest part of this fight at this point is being able to outlast her. This is, I imagine there's a lot of healing being done in this fight, and that's probably where a lot of the stress comes in this fight, is just keeping everybody alive and keeping them from getting beat on and keeping them from getting killed. And somebody decided to try to limit break Garuda while Garuda was in her running around phase, so it completely missed. Thank you for that. But regardless, Garuda is almost dead. We've got a competent group of people here, so this is actually looking like it's going a lot easier. This fight, if somebody doesn't do their job right, if somebody doesn't mess something up, can go pretty terribly. But that was Garuda. Really not bad. I actually enjoy this fight a lot more than the Ifrit fight. Somebody left already, how about that? And in the loot we see, hey, Ogre got his book. Go him. Alright, so until next time everyone, this seems like sort of an easy fight. And if you've got a group of competent people, it is. It's a fun fight though, I actually enjoy it more than Ifrit. So I think next up, probably going to show off some of the new dungeons that were added in 2.1. And one of these days I'll get around to showing off Titan. Until next time, everyone.